Hi kids, do you like violence? This is your boy, your man's, homeless failed artist, homeless poor person in America, yada yada. Hey guys, how you been doing? A little bit of transparency. I'm recording this video this is like the fourth time I've tried to record this video. Here we are. Can't exactly see the timestamp, but the way I got the camera set up, so I'm just gonna, or my phone, so I'm just gonna kind of run with it until we get done doing whatever. Uh, what's been happening in the world? Well, recently, as you've seen, or may, unless you're under a fucking rock, you couldn't have missed it. But basically, the Trump appointed Aziz Ansari's unsuccessful brother look-alike winner of the FBI, head of the FBI, has declared with his partner Bongino DiGiorno, whatever the fuck his name is, the YouTuber that fucking Trump put into one of the highest positions in the land just because he liked the guy's swagger, I guess, and he was a bro. So anyways, yeah, they declared that the Jeffrey Epstein thing was, there was no client list, and his suicide was a suicide, even though there's a minute of footage missing from the police or the, detention center or the jail in New York or whatever. And that was it. That was just fucking it. And of course, which I believe was kind of a something to throw people off the scent, is the reason why Trump and his party was going after the Epstein thing and kind of playing it up and saying, oh yeah, we're going to declassify the files and all that bullshit. Because, him and Epstein were as thick as thieves they were back in the day. And he even had quotes where he said, this guy Epstein is like this great dude, and he hangs around beautiful women, and he likes them on the younger side, and blah, blah, blah. Just one of the many shitbag things Trump has said over the years that nobody seems to hold him accountable for or remember or anything else, especially the MAGA vote. But boy, oh boy, when he pulled this Epstein shit, he got the MAGA people really upset with him. And that's because MAGA was one of the biggest, I guess, pushers of this narrative that, Epstein didn't commit suicide and all this stuff. And, there's people on the left-hand side who believe the same thing. And I think, in a weird roundabout way, this was a unifying factor with people. The Epstein suicide thing and Epstein conspiracy theories or whatever was kind of a unifying point of interest amongst, these people. And, Alex Jones went on his little rant, and all the MAGA people were like turning on Trump and going fucking ballistic that this was not something that was fucking, done properly, handled properly, whatever. And you can rest assured that any evidence that does remain has been destroyed. And as a matter of fact, Bongino, the second in command or whatever, said that he's not going to show up to work because he's too disturbed. He's too disturbed by all this, and he didn't like the handling of it, even though he sat in the press meeting, or not press meeting, but the interview or report or whatever to the news agencies right beside this guy, and basically fucking sit there and said the exact same fucking thing he was saying. That there was no evidence, and he killed himself, and blah, blah, blah. There was no foul play, and blah, 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 blah. So the whole thing smacks, of course, of fucking, Trump covering his ass. The only unfortunate thing is that any client list, anything else, or anything that was uncovered has been destroyed at this point. You could believe that. And hopefully one day there can be a criminal investigation into the current people in power and do a thorough investigation backwards and forwards. But I don't think that's going to prove anything either, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. I think it's just basically all the rich cocksuckers who contributed to his years of assaults and predation amongst women. Basically don't want this coming out. And that's just the point blank period of it. And speaking of Epstein, his wife is still alive, or his girlfriend, or whatever the fuck she was, his partner. Let's just call it that. That's PC enough nowadays. His partner, which literally means partner in a relationship term and also partner in crime, because his lover, as it were, was basically, in my humble opinion, the linchpin of how Epstein was able to prey on so many women and to get them and assault them. Because, for the most part, Epstein wasn't a traditionally good-looking man. I mean, he wasn't really handsome. He wasn't like a Brad Pitt handsome with tons of money. And if it wasn't for her grooming these young women and getting them in, a trusting position and all this stuff, and bringing them to him to feed him to them, then he would never have been anywhere near as successful as he was at what he did. And, it's really, ever since the beginning of this, it really fucking made me sick. And it made me sick because of the simple fact that most of his victims that, this was done to were poor girls. And those poor women were, basically promised or given the promise of a job, and they were lured in by his partner. And, that's just that rich bullshit that rich people pull. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to stop because there was a goddamn whatever the fuck was going on behind me, where the people literally were just stopping and kind of fucking making noise to interrupt whatever the fuck I was doing. But anyways, so yeah, most of his victims were poor girls, lured in with, the promise of work. And I believe that was one of the most prolific cases. If you watch the documentary on Netflix, it's amazing, by the way. And I was aware of the Epstein thing up to that point. And then, it was like he was arrested and then he died. And I was aware of the allegations and whatnot, but I really didn't, because of just, being physically ill with the prospect of what he did, I really didn't want to know more than what I had to know about the situation. And I was just glad he was dead. Suicide or not, I was just glad the piece of shit was dead. And, watching the documentary, that's when I really got the full breadth of his situation. That's when I really got the full scope of what the investigation was, or what the allegations were, or basically what evidence they had, and what was going on with the criminal investigation before he died. And it really did, and once again, it's been a while since I've seen it and really looked over the details of the case. But from what I remember, it was, not women from rich neighborhoods, not women from rich communities. It was poor girls that basically his wife found and groomed and, led them in with the prospect of a job. And when they got there, that's when the assaults happened. And like I said, once again, if it wasn't for her, then Jeffrey Epstein, I don't think, would have been nearly as successful in his crimes. And she's still alive, and she's serving time, I guess, wherever, probably in some upstate rich prison where she's being either, basically taken care of hand over fist or whatever. Who knows? Because if there is any kind of bribery or payoffs or something happened for her to keep her mouth closed right now, then she's getting everything she could possibly need in prison, if she's even still incarcerated. And she was not a victim at all. She was just as sick as him. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was feeding these young women to him. And I argue the fact that because she is a fellow woman, it's almost more monstrous, her actions. And his actions are monstrous enough, but to be in the fact that a fellow woman went and took these young girls and fed them to a predator is just almost unbelievably inhuman and sick. And yet, even with that being the case, Donald Trump was quoted after the fact of saying, well, I knew her very well and I wish her the best of luck and we hung out a lot and blah, 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 blah. I mean, be that as it may, you still have a little bit more tact and dignity than that, But I digress. So some of the things that have always stuck with me about the Epstein thing that were very disturbing, outside of a client list, which I refuse 100%. Okay, the suicide thing in the jail, all right, fine, whatever. That can be plausibly deniable. That can be, put to wherever, whatever. You could deny that away. You could say, well, okay, whatever. Whatever may be the case. I mean, let's just give them that. Let's just give the argument that okay, well, the suicide was real. He committed suicide. The client list, there not being a client list or a record of clients or a record of associates or whatever I will never believe that to the day I die. I believe that, and I'm going to explain here in a second, but I believe wholeheartedly there is a list or evidence or something against fucking, the people he hung out with. Because first of all, you got to understand the kind of person you're dealing with. Him and his pimp or his wife or whatever you want to fucking call the bitch, they were basically manipulative sociopaths and predators. So there's a reason why they climbed to the high ranks of upper crust society as they did, because they knew how to put on masks like good, any good sociopath, narcissist, like serial killer, predator kind of type person does. They know how to put on masks, put on, whatever that person needs them to be at that time to earn their trust and to manipulate them. And they basically took that and they went forward and got to know all these people from power, even Europeans who, like the prince, I forgot his name, but he took a picture with one of the young women, and then shortly afterwards she was assaulted. And he was a prince, whatever, the allegations came out, I forgot exactly his name, Prince Peter or something like that, I don't know, I don't really give a shit. But the rich, all wanted to get around Epstein for some reason too. And because of Epstein's, that's one thing you got to kind of look at that's kind of weird about Epstein. Okay, Epstein was in business and he was doing business, whatever. But it's almost like all these people had to know Jeffrey Epstein, right? It's almost like, what separates him from 1,000 other people in the same profession, the same field? And why did all these rich people have to get pictures with Jeffrey? You would have thought that this guy was like literally like John Bon Jovi with all the pictures that he got with celebrities. And all the celebrities that just basically had to go to his island or come to his island or blah, 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 blah. Like, I get it. I get that. Okay, it's rich knowing rich, and he had some kind of reputation or lies or whatever followed before him, but in the same turn, it's almost like this was a celebrity kind of level of, from the rich of I have to get a picture with this guy, or I have to go to this guy's island, or blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? So it's almost like, well, what was the big attraction here, right? What was the big fucking, like, this guy's like a damn rock star and I have to meet him. He's like the Dalai Lama or something, right? And like I said, there's hundreds of other traders or financiers or whatever the hell that are out there, and they rarely had the history that Epstein had of all these successful people around him, that they had to be pictured with and leave this paper trail. But yet we are still basically told there is no client list, or there is no associate list, or there is no nothing, right? Um, which is just, once again, knowing the type of people, knowing how they work on a pattern and methodology of grooming and manipulation and stuff like that. It is hard to believe that they didn't keep a list or tons of evidence against all the people in power and American, royalty, basically, politicians and foreign politicians and stuff like this that associated with him and got real close with him and were basically left alone with him for an extended period of time in places where predation and assaults could happen. And it's hard to believe that, they didn't collect any evidence and blackmail on these people. And, it goes to the further point that basically, at least in my opinion, this is how I take it. This is how I feel. I know I'm a piece of shit to you, or considered a piece of shit in society, or whatever. Homelessness being the bottom rung of the fucking world right now, and garbage, human garbage to all goddamn Americans at this point, because I don't know. That's the way the fuck they are. They've been programmed by capitalism. And they believe anything that the money tells them. And basically, the fucking point of the matter is, this move by the Trump administration and this move by the FBI, first of all, you really got to appreciate what's going on here, because this is basically the highest office in the land, the biggest investigative service in the land. There is nothing higher than this. And it basically just went out there and destroyed evidence publicly, or denied publicly, whatever, or just whatever the hell they just did. And what that was is basically, a big fuck you to Americans, a big fuck you to the poor, a big fuck you to everybody in this country. And it's coming from the rich, it's coming from the wealthy, and it's another fuck you, but it's one of the biggest fuck yous you could have ever thrown at the American people. And basically what that says is it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what you feel, it doesn't matter what you want. We own you, we control you, and we can make any fucking thing happen we want to. And furthermore, for years, we were allowed to basically assault your women, assault your babies, your children, your daughters, and traffic them to whoever we wanted across the globe, across the country, or whatever. It doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want to do to you, and you can't do anything back. And that's basically what that was. Now, you could take it any way you want to. God knows a lot of you are good at taking it. You're good at taking whatever the hell they give you, chewing on it and lapping it up and saying, oh, okay, as long as you got your little crumbs off of the capitalist pie, you're fine with whatever happens. And they've trained you so well now to where your little bit of success is enough to buy, complacency and subjugation to, basically fucking accomplice in crime. And with all that is being done publicly at this point, which that I consider the biggest sign of just how far lost we are and how far gone we are as a country. Left, right, or other, you have to see the point of this, that this is just monstrous and barbaric. This is beyond monstrous and barbarism. This is so fucking unbelievably horrible. And you have to start asking yourself the question, what else is this going to happen with? Right? Okay, so we got Epstein gone. We got the whole Epstein evidence gone. We washed the files. We washed everything. What else is this going to happen to? What other cases are they going to want to disappear in the near future, or have already made disappear? Because if they're willing to do this publicly with something as big as Epstein, everything below that level of criminal activity is considered, not a big deal. And for all we know, this motherfucker's been in there from the day one he was appointed, burning, destroying, and basically ruining evidence, anything that happens with Trump's buddies, which could include the Italian mob, by the way, because he grew up in New York real estate. He came up in New York real estate during a time when the mafia ran New York real estate. But yet somehow Trump went through that city and did all the deals and the purchases and everything he did with absolutely no mafia connections. Which seems like a literal impossibility, considering that if you didn't work for them or with them, you didn't work at all, right? And like I said, this is just a big fuck you from the rich. This is the biggest fuck you. And once again, what are you going to do about it? What are any of us going to do about it? Because at this point in America, we are kept animals. We are kept pets for the rich. You are a fucking pet to them. That's it. And they only keep you there to turn the goddamn wheels. They only keep you there to fucking grind the fucking salt. With the big beautiful bill that just passed, they just took away every one of your goddamn future Medicaids and assistance, and government assistance is going to be going away soon. EBT, any fucking food services, any Medicaid, any of that shit that you get, you might as well just kiss that shit goodbye, because over the next couple of years, if not year, it's going to be destroyed. There will be no more social services in America. One way or another, they're going to destroy that. Which, will make the wage disparity even better. And if you think America's fucking bad now and you think it's crazy on the streets now, wait till they cut off the goddamn EBT and every little bit of fucking government assistance they give out there. And that's really going to jack this shit up. Well beyond whatever the hell's going on. And, once again, this is the rich being the rich, man. And I'm going to give you some examples. This has happened countless numbers of times. And really, Epstein is not the prevalent issue here. The prevalent issue is Epstein is the one we know about. But the reality of it is right now in America, there's probably 50 to 100, if not 1,000 Epsteins in operation. This is not something uncommon amongst the rich or the well-to-do. As a matter of fact, you could even look up the history of cases at places like Yale and Harvard of rich, well-to-do children who have committed assaults on their fellow classmates, and the cases were dismissed or not even, prosecuted. Most notably, it's happened with a lot of rich athletes in America, young athletes, and that's happened, and they never got prosecution. And, that's going to show you countless numbers of times that it can be bought. The law can be bought. And I guess that'll bring me to a further point. If you ever see in America a rich person, a very wealthy person who actually does get punished for a crime, let me tell you something. They stopped paying their protection money and something went horribly wrong with the system. Okay? For example, Martha Stewart. All right. Martha Stewart was convicted of a crime, insider trading, whatever, that other, probably countless numbers of Wall Street agents and men and stuff like that in the Wall Street area and space have done countless numbers of times. But yet Martha was the one who got, thrown up on these charges. Bernie Madoff. Madoff was not an exception. He was not, he was like literally the rule. And I'm sure this has happened tons of times across Wall Street and tons of times more since Bernie Madoff. But for some reason, Bernie Madoff pissed off the wrong people and they prosecuted him. And this goes back to Epstein, of course. Epstein all of a sudden has to get prosecuted, just like with P. Diddy and stuff like this. It's like, and you see some people buy their way out of court, but then you see some people who, they're millionaires, they're and they go in there and they can't afford to get out of this for some reason. Now, P. Diddy, there's some bullshit going on with that where they couldn't get the RICO case, but they didn't really do a great job of it, which goes to show you what kind of joke, is going on here in the New York or whatever area, because it's known for sex trafficking cases and allowing and turning a blind eye to sex trafficking bullshit. That district is known for this. And for some reason, the prosecutors were apparently just out of grad school or law school or something. They were basically idiots. And prosecuting the RICO case, they failed. And I don't know, man. The central point is, though, the women and stuff like that he predated on, and they were food for the rich. They were food for the wealthy. And basically, since this Epstein thing has gotten pulled off, you can feel confident that your future children will be fed to the rich. And whenever they want them, whatever they want to do to them, however they want to do it to them, there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. And furthermore, once again, I'm going to say it again, we're kept animals in this country at this point. The poor, the people under the 1%, you are animals to them. You are not only animals, but you're livestock. That's it. They look at you no different than a pig or a cow. They look at you, they keep the pig and the cow or the bull or whoever alive long enough for it to serve its purpose. And when the horse can't run no more, when the horse can't pull the till no more, the donkey, they take it out back and shoot it in the head. And once again, like I said, Epstein is not the he's not the exception. He's basically the rule. And if you doubt that, you can look up, like I said, countless numbers of cases of young people being assaulted in colleges by rich, well-to-do, primarily white, pretty boy, rich kids. And they've done this countless numbers of times in colleges across America, and they've not been prosecuted countless numbers of times in colleges across America, because the rich own this country, and the rich own you, and the rich own me. And what's the answer? I really don't know, but all I know is any kind of like starting to hash together some answers and put together some fucking answers is a lot better than just sitting there taking it. It's a lot better than sitting there just being complacent, sitting in your goddamn houses eating McDonald's and becoming fatter cows and fatter pigs and more complacent livestock and just, I don't know, waiting for them to take away even more from you. And going back to the big beautiful bill, by the way, they've taken away a lot of things that you were due and you paid into the system. Your Social Security, your disability, all the shit that's taken out of your fucking check every month or week, whenever you get paid, is put into a system. The reason why that's done is to be put into a goddamn system of like Medicaid, of Social Security, stuff like that. That's what the fuck it's supposed to be for. Not for paying off damn infinite war debts, $1 trillion bombs being dropped on countries every day. That's not what it was meant for. And now they're getting rid of it. But you still have to pay, I'm sure. You're going to still have to pay into this system. You're still going to have to pay all your taxes, more money into the system, and get nothing in return. So, sorry the rant kind of went off the rails there. So if there's anything you'd like to do to help me out, my donation links are in the description. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please comment below. What do you feel about it? What do you think about the Epstein trial? What do you think about the evidence? What do you think about all this? Are you with it? Are you happy? Are you satisfied with the results? Or do you believe a grievous error has occurred and there's something more here? Thank you guys so much for watching. I wish you all the best and take care of yourselves.